Well, you know what sound that is, folks. You betcha it's another Noon Whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and I'm at the Elkhorn High School with teachers and Skills USA advisors, Mr. Bjorgi and Mr. Melvitz. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're going to talk Skills USA, and I have a couple guests up front of me. I'm going to let those guys introduce themselves.
Hi there. I'm Aiden. I'm a senior.
I'm Connor. I'm a junior.
All right. Let's, well, thanks. You guys seem really excited.
Yeah, they're jacked. You can tell.
They've been talking for 15 minutes, so we're good.
All right. Let's jump right in here.
Mr. Melvitz, tell us a little bit about what Skills USA is for people that don't know what it is.
Sure. I'm Mr. Melvitz. This is my second or third year, doing Skills USA. I took it over for Brent Ganter. They got it started probably 2 or 3 years before COVID. It's a CTSO, and the big part about Skills USA that kids think I enjoy the most are the competitions. So that's what these guys did and did a really good job at up at state a couple months ago or last month. And then throughout the year too, we have our meetings, which is typical for CTSOs. We did our clothing drive, so that was our service project for the year this year. The clothing drive was during Skills USA week. I believe it was the first or second week of February. So we have those activities too. And then this weekend, a bunch of kids will also be participating in our other service project, which is the Great Give Back. So we do those events throughout the year, and then the contests happen in December, February, and state is in April typically. So we have a regional and district competition as well.
What's CTSO stand for?
I was just going to
Go ahead, Mr.
I was
Bjorgi.
just going to say CTSO stands for Career and Technical Student Organization, which is kind of like any club in our school offers, such as FFA, FCCLA, FBLA, Tech Ed's version of that, I guess you could say, is Skills USA. For those of you who kind of know what FFA is, I always tell kids it's the FFA is or Skills USA is the trades version of FFA, I guess, or like the Tech Ed version of Skills USA.
Yeah. So Mr. Melvitz and Mr. Bjorgi, before we get into these two really good-looking young men who are going to talk about their incredible skills in framing and the building trades, give us an overview, Mr. Melvitz and Mr. Bjorgi, you can both chime in on how many kids competed this year and the number of potential competitions that the kid could engage in at Skills USA.
Sure. So this year we had the most kids ever compete at state. We had 28 kids that we brought up. They competed everywhere from TeamWorks, which is that framing aspect that these two competed in, to extemporaneous speaking, speech, architectural drafting, autos, team engineering, basically anything that's in the trades kids can compete in. So throughout the year, they have opportunities to compete in literally over 100 competitions is what they offer at state. Now, logistically, that's quite a bit for like a district or regional competition. So usually at the district or regional competitions early on, it's a little bit less than that, usually about 20 to 25 competitions. Yeah, at the state level, there's over 100 competitions going on up in Madison that these kids can show their skills off in, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was blown away when I was there because as we were waiting for the main event, the kickoff, and I know Aiden and Connor they started their competition. You just walk around, and John, I don't know if you've ever been there, but you walk around and how many industries support this event and see this as kind of their conduit, their pathway to the next generation of talent. Carl, I know that. Why don't you talk a little bit about the event that the Youth Build was a part of? Give us, because that's what these two gentlemen participated in. Talk a little bit. Who sponsored it? How many teams were there? How many teams we had? And then give a little overview of it.
Yeah, so like you said, is that this group was a TeamWorks competition, which is a group of 4 students. They show up, they have about 16 hours between 2 days to build something comparable to, I'd say, a half bath. Usually it's like a 4x8 structure, like base that they have to build. They show up and they're given a taped off square on the floor and a pile of materials, and they get the blueprint as they start. And they got to go from flaming the floor system up to, installing outlets, bathroom fixtures. They do some rough-in for plumbing. Kind of just depends on what the judges have kind of come up with for the year, but typically there's some sort of flooring, framing, some sort of roofing or truss type system, some electrical, some plumbing. And then this year they threw in some masonry work for our students as well. There was 9 different teams across the state who competed. We ended up placing, you guys want to tell them?
We took 3rd this year. So I did this last year, and we were kind of new to the competition. We didn't really know how all the scoring stuff worked and stuff like that. So I think we got 4th or 5th last year, which for first year doing it, still not bad. But this year we took 3rd, which is great. I think, do you remember the leaderboard? I think it was Hartford.
Hartford was
Hartford
second place.
second.
Who was 3-time reigning champs at the state level, so they took 2nd, and then 1st place was Watertown.
Yep,
Watertown. Both of those programs, I look at them as a top tier programs. They're placing and stuff all the time. And our judge that we had, which was from Morton Builders, he told us that the top 3 was minimal point difference. So, you know, it was kind of heartbreaking / exciting that, you know, one tiny mistake or one change, we could have bumped up to 1st or dropped us to 3rd type thing. But it was really cool for these guys to come back a 2nd year. This is Connor's 1st year, but he joined that team coming back. And the goal is that Connor's going to kind of come back and be our team captain, I guess you could say, next year for this team. We did have 2 teams compete this year. We kind of looked at it as like a JV and a varsity kind of mindset behind it. It was just one team's got a little bit more experience than the other. But that JV team, like I said, we're hoping that Connor can kind of lead them this next year, and that they'll head off and hopefully place higher than 3rd, or, you know, we've kind of set that bar and they want to do better than the year before.
So let's hear it from your guys' perspective. Like, what did you do to lead up to this, to practice? What did you do when you got there? How was it? A lot of pressure?
So I'm enrolled in Youth Build right now, and in Youth Build we're working on the pavilion at the middle school. So I was able to get some like framing experience already from that, and then my summer job I worked for a trim contractor. So I kind of understood the exterior stuff before we got there. We didn't do much to prepare for it. Like, we couldn't see the blueprints until we were working on the actual build. So we just kind of had to like
build.
Yeah.
Do it, huh?
Yeah. Kind of got a little bit of an upper hand with our team though, because the other 2 members, Travis Brogren, he's been a carpenter with Thielen for just about a year now, and he's already training the new guys there, so he knows what he's doing. And then Gabe Vorpagel is also, he works for, I believe, a carpentry company. I don't know their name, but he's been working with them for a good while. So we already had that pre-existing skill set. I've never been a carpenter. I've always been a dairy farmer, but you learn stuff down the road. So.
Well, you were telling me how you were using skills building. You guys made like a duck house. And,
yeah, just little stuff around the house or whatever you end up doing. It all leads up to it. Just little things, little bits of knowledge that you gain that you can put towards the building in the end.
You were in Youth Build last year, Aiden, right?
Yeah, I took Youth Build last year.
Yeah. How did that experience kind of help for the last year, or even improve your performance this year?
More or less just blueprint reading. We did a lot of like certification stuff with NCCER was a huge thing we did with. You get these certifications for learning how to do different processes of all these certain trades. I think that really helped with like learning how to read blueprints, and even for the pavilion that is now built next to the middle school, we learned how to write bids for everything that needed to be done there, the roofing, the siding, the garage doors, the trusses, all of it. We wrote all those bids. So it kind of opened up like not necessarily the paperwork side, but like the non-building side of the stuff like that.
Do you guys see this as a career, or just this is fun, great club, great to be a part of?
Me personally, I don't see it as a career just because I always want to just do more and do more, but it's definitely, for me, it's a great like knowledge to have. If you ever want to build something or whatever you want to do, you still have that skill set if you ever want to get into that. I think it might be different for Connor. I think that's kind of like what he's looking into getting into, if you want to go into that.
I think carpentry's my calling. Like my summer job has kind of like embedded that for me, because I just like seeing a finished product, and I like putting my hands in stuff, and I need to be hands-on, and I feel like I have a strong enough work ethic for the construction environment. And Skills USA was just a great like facet in that, and it really made me optimistic for how my future is going to look.
What would you guys tell someone that's considering getting involved in Skills USA?
Learn how to do teamwork. That's like the most important part of that competition, because there's you have rough carpentry, plumbing, electrical, siding, and masonry. There's probably more too. You have five main trades that you all need to complete, and obviously everybody can't be working on the same thing at once because you'll never get done with it. So you kind of got to learn how to divide and conquer and be able to do stuff as a team, but individually as well.
So Connor and Aiden, when you know it's teamwork, that's a great thing. What are two other things or skills that you need to have outside of, putting something together to get projects like this done?
It kind of goes along with teamwork, but communication is a huge facet in getting anything completed. We found that when they were just able to direct me to do little jobs like cut something or run something to or just put something away for them or get something out, we were just very effective whenever it was able to be communicated. And it was it's just, communication is huge.
Yeah.
Then going off the communication, listening is a huge part. I know the Morton guy, and they had judges for the individual trades walking around. They'd walk around and kind of give you little pointers or explain something on the blueprint. It's really important to listen to what they're having to say, because the Morton guy made the blueprint. He knows exactly what it should look like. So any little piece that he gives you is really important to retain, because it could be really important down the road toward the end of the competition.
John, Hey, John, I was going to say that it was interesting because I was up there when they got the blueprints and they started. And obviously for the JV team, that was their first experience. But when you talk about the skills of teamwork, communication, watching this group, and I know it was Connor's first time, but he's been on a job site, you should have seen these guys just jump in. And it was super impressive. It was like Aiden was saying, all right, Travis, what do you got? They were just working pretty seamlessly. And I will say, I know Aiden mentioned that Travis has been working at Thielen, started as a youth apprentice, started no youth build, youth apprentice, and now full time. It was also interesting to see somebody who swings a hammer full time hand drive a nail. Because as I'm walking around, you hear one nail being set, and you hear one guy going tink, 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 tink. When Travis was driving a nail, he set it, and he drove it home. And it was pretty impressive to watch. It was pretty seamless. But Mr. Melvitz, talk a little bit. I know this isn't the only medalist we have from Elkhorn. Who are some of the other medalists, and talk a little bit about the other competitions?
Sure. We had one other medalist, Izzy Corpus. She's a senior, and her medal was in extemporaneous speaking. And in that contest, you just go up. She's a very good speaker. She's very well spoken. She's a student council president, all that good stuff. So she can speak in front of a crowd, to say the least. But yeah, her competition was she gets up there and you get a little prompt, and you get about 5 to 7 minutes to prep, and then you go. And she gives her little speech, and so she was judged against, I think there's about 20 competitors for that one, and she ended up taking the silver medal in that. So she did a great job.
Yeah, it's awesome. How did the student who made the wooden bike perform? How did that not win?
We feel like it was probably the binder. So yeah, he had, in my opinion, arguably the most complicated product up there. He made a bike out of wood. It was the woodworking display competition in the under $150 category. So he put the frame together, put the wheels on it and everything. Super difficult build and design from scratch. And we think he got dinged on a couple pages in his binder where his pictures were documenting as he went along, and he just didn't quite detail it enough. We think
oh my goodness.
The difference was between the podium and not podium.
Which is something we didn't really mention, is that every student who competes in Skills USA has to have a resume when they come with them, and they get, to some extent, a score on their resume. or they may have to have a binder present of like their work up until that point. It kind of depends on the contest, but like all of the students that were in the TeamWorks had to put together a resume and submit that as part of the contest, which is kind of an interesting thing because then, it's not just what can you do, it's how can you show your skills on paper, can you communicate what you can and can't do on top of just showing up and doing something.
Yeah.
How many students are in Skills USA?
35 were registered this year, I
Wow.
believe. Yeah, we've grown a little bit every year. Again, this was my third year taking it over, and we're trying to get it to we have CTSOs in this school that have been here for much longer than Skills USA, and I still feel like we're the new kid on the block. So aspiring to be like FFA and HOSA and DECA and FCCLA, who have really done awesome with their groups over decades or more, pushing tons of kids to nationals. So that's my next step, is to just keep growing the program and getting talented kids to show off their skills, and hopefully we can take that national stage in the near future.
That would mean, so Aiden, are you going to recruit some kids before you leave to add to the club? And then Connor, are you going to recruit some kids while you're still here?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, when we started with this team, we only had 3 guys, and it took, I think, about a month to find our 4th guy because we had people that were like, maybe I'll go. And then I found Connor, and I was like, hey, you want to go? And he was like, yeah, great opportunity. So he just jumped right in for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to be around Mr. Malvitz and Mr. Bjorgi?
Of course.
Come on.
Right.
All right, John. Well, we're getting about that time. How do you want to close here? So, because I know Mr. Bjorgi and Connor, they got some work to do.
Yeah, we're gonna head on over to the middle school here and start swinging hammers again.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. John, any closing comments before we pull the whistle and head back to work?
I don't, but maybe Mr. Malvitz or Mr. Bjorgi want to take one more shot or one more thing we didn't ask them that you want to tell people?
I was just gonna say is I hope that we're hoping that next year we can get some of our local business partners to kind of help give us little training sessions. That way, like maybe once a month, we can get together with a partner, go over their specific trades, so that we can increase our skills in maybe the areas we don't see as much on our projects.
Any particular trades? Electrical, masonry? What are you looking for?
Definitely electrical. I mean,
electrical? All right.
Electrical, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but there's always like the base correct way to do it. And I think it's just a good thing for everyone to learn because obviously you don't do it right. That's how fires start. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good point.
Or it's very shocking. All right. Well, congratulations, gentlemen. Mr. Malvitz and Mr. Bjorgi, thank you for spending time with these kids and engaging in such a great competition. I'll tell you, employers, know what a CTSO is because this is your next, that's your pool of talent. John, before we head back, anything else you want to conclude?
No, get out and enjoy the weather.
All right, real quick, Aiden, who do you play this week?
We got Burlington tonight, Kenosha St. Joe's Thursday, and Burlington on Friday.
Okay, how are the Demon? Are they good again or middle of the road?
Burlington?
Yeah.
They're struggling this year. Kenosha St. Joe's is a great baseball team, so that's going to be a tough game.
Are they really?
Yeah, they got a couple studs.
Okay, well, all right. All right, well, that sounds good. Well, get out and support your local athletics. John, any thoughts?
No, I'm good. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right,
guys.
thanks, everybody. And on that note, get out of here.